everyone, and welcome back to our third episode of Behind the Brand podcast. Again, we're here joined by our amazing CEO and founder, Neetu ma'am. So, actually, we're hitting our 1 year mark with Sands of India today, and this is the perfect time to talk about the business, the insights, the insider secrets, maybe in this episode. So, let's get into that. So now that Sons of India has hit its 1 year mark, how does this phase feel compared to the previous phase when you just started the brand and it was just picking up?
Feels very different from uncertainties to sort of looking forward with pride. When we started, we were defining what the brand is going to stand for, how the looks are going to be, what the niche is going to be, will the consumer accept it. I was drawing out a plan which I had myself absolutely no clue whether we will be able to hit that. But today, while it's been 1 year from our launch, and you see how each channel, which is your own site, how Mintra and all the other channels are picking up. You see how the consumers are reacting to it. You are more confident of what you have put forward, and you see the traffic building, you see the emotional connect building, you see the acceptance of the styles, fit, quality, everything. Though with all the years of experience, I was sort of, I was thinking I was in the right direction, but there is a lot of anxiety and lot of uncertainty which is now converting into confidence and feeling of pride and feeling of achievement.
Wow. So obviously, not everyone knows the struggles that go behind building a brand. So, what are some of the biggest struggles that you faced that you can't see on social media or isn't shown in social media, but it's a massive struggle in the behind the scenes, which makes this brand run the way it is and it makes the brand possible?
So when you start the path, you have to define a few things. You have to define that what is going to be your niche and how that fashion will translate talking to the niche. So in the beginning, we decided that India, Japan will be our first markets, not realizing that a Japanese consumer and fashion is very different from how the Indian consumer and fashion is. So when we created the first line and we tried to present it to customers in Japan, we spent a lot of time because we had defined it as Asian fashion. So the thought was that all of Asia will accept it, but how they are far more conservative. They conservative, the skin should not show. It's the sort of fabrics they look at, the sort of winters they go through, and so it looked like the first line that we made was completely wrong. Because we tried to fuse India and we tried to fuse it with Japan.
Hmm.
So that went completely wrong. And we got a lot of feedback, which is good, which is learning. But it felt like you have to spend now so much more time to and redefine. So then we decided that, these set of products will do great in India. And then these set of products will sort of do well in Asia as well as India. And then we sort of redefine the entire line. And that is what you see today as a brand.
Yeah. So, is there any one mistake or one instance or story that you can think of which kind of taught you a very crucial lesson early on while starting the brand, like a specific moment?
Yeah, so even though there's a lot of research which goes, but practically things are very different when you put it out.
Yeah.
So, the designer that we thought we will associate with didn't go right because, the line had to be changed. some of the people that we were associating with in terms of production, the first level of quality went wrong. So we had to completely reject all of that. And, that burned bridges,
Yeah.
and then, I mean, a lot of things, right? And when we devised the name Sands of India, and actually the feedback was that, do not use word India, it will not come through, like the consumer will not see it um, as the right quality and very, we're trying to present a classic and contemporary fashion, which I was trying to label as modern nostalgia. So while you're super modern, you bring in the nostalgia and heritage and culture of these. So when we decided to take Sands of India forward, there were not a lot of naysayers for the name, saying that the moment you put it out like this, there will be people questioning the contemporary fashion coming under this name. People would expect ethnic, people would expect
Yeah.
maybe not so much of quality. So uh, you know, um, there was a lot of anxiety, but when the consumers started reacting to it, that was the feeling of relief,
Hmm.
a huge relief that it's not like that. People are taking pride, they are seeing it differently. And that, of course, the first sort of results that we got changed everything. It brought in huge confidence, all that shakiness inside uh, started disappearing.
Wow. So obviously there'll be a moment in the history of Sands of India where you felt like, okay, now we're clicking with the audience, where it's working, things are working. So what was that turning point?
It cannot be one moment, Shruti. You every day you watch the matrix, you watch what the consumers are talking about. This is digital exposure. So you can't sort of talk to them directly and, take the feedback. So you have to rely on reviews. We started doing pop-ups and we started seeing, and understanding not just, people who were buying, but also the body language. People, they were stopping by and seeing that what they liked, what they didn't like. People spoke about fabrics. And uh and that kept on building. The traffic kept on building. I mean, you guys are doing great on marketing. People started associating. We started getting more and more response. So every day uh, is the metric that shows that how the brand is building,
I see.
and that gives you confidence.
So it's a gradual increase ahead.
It's more of an organic process than how much ever we might define that, in 1 month, so many people are going to know it doesn't work like that. You keep experiencing it, seeing it, and as the metrics improve, you get more and more confidence.
I see. So what are you most proud of achieving this past year? What is your one thing that you would tell everyone that I have done this?
I am proud of the name. I'm proud of how, I mean, the entire business in terms of the revenue channels, etc., being set. I'm super proud of the team.
Yeah.
I mean, half the time, while I also think of obviously a business and how that is going to grow, I am also under pressure that, you know, this is a set of people that I am responsible for. And I feel the pride around that as
That's so nice. So what are some things that no one warned you before starting a clothing brand? So I know, ma'am, you have a lot of experience in the field to begin with, but obviously that was working in other brands which were very well organized, well set up, legacy brands which have been running for years. Now to move away from that with all the experience that you had and to start from scratch, what is something that no one told you about or warned you about before starting the brand?
nobody told me anything. Nobody warned me because I just plunged into it. I wanted to do it. And, as I said, you get these anxiety fangs.
Yeah.
I would get up at 2 a.m. in the morning and I was like, shucks, this is not done, or this is how it is. Or, I put that in the plan. Will it work? And then, so the working capital, all of that, right? And since there isn't sort of a co founder now, I'm just sort of managing the whole breadth of things.
Yeah.
That was also coming to mind, that all the facets of the business, am I doing it correctly? And yeah, so it's a lot of things. It's a lot of anxiety, and nobody other than, what the social media talks about it, but it is nothing close to what you actually experience it. And somebody warned you, no, nobody warned me. I only sort of plunged into it, and then I decided that step by step would take it through.
Okay, so now let's look ahead for a bit. What are some new categories or collection or products or ideas that you are kind of excited to explore, or something you want to try out for the future for Sands of India as a brand?
So when we thought of Sands of India, right, we wanted to make it as big and as diverse as the sands would signify. And that is, so we started with Western wear, but this will become a Western plus ethnic sort of, fusion both ways. And that is where it will expand into. We are also contemplating menswear and the other categories. So we'll keep expanding as each category settles and we see the consumer acceptance. Wherever there is scope or potential, the category, expansion potential.
So this is very exciting news for all the women there who want to buy their husbands, boyfriends, brothers, fathers some exciting clothes. Maybe Sands of India could get something for them as well. We're expanding our customer base. So that'll be very exciting. So, what advice would you give to someone who wants to start their own fashion brand? If someone comes to you and says, "Neetu ma'am, I want to start a brand tomorrow," what is maybe one piece of advice that you would give to them, which is quite important to you?
If you decide, then please hang on.
Hmm.
Don't chicken out because there will be a learning. There, everything which is required year one, year two, year three, think of it as how that learning will take you to success. I mean, nothing, take failures as learnings and, draw out a very practical plan. Don't think that tomorrow, in 2 years, I'm going to pay. And of course, if you're like heavily funded, that's another thing. If you are heavily funded, then don't rush into expansion without getting the pulse of the consumer.
Understood. That's very important.
Yes, just because I have the monies doesn't mean just, go ahead and do thousand things. Whatever you're doing, make sure that experience yields a better tomorrow.
Hmm. That makes sense. Yeah. So it always gets worse before it gets better. And
Yeah, I mean, don't think of it like that. Think of every learning as of every failure as a learning to support the growth.
understood.
I mean, you have to keep telling yourself this. I mean, if you think of it as failure, then psychologically,
Yeah.
it sort of builds on you. Don't let that build on you. So I had a mentor, and he told me, I mean, he was huge. I mean, unfortunately, he passed away uh, last year. But he told me, Neetu, I know you. You hang in there. Do not let anything or anybody deter you. And that stayed with me. And every time I have a little bit of anxiety, I remember him. I said, I'm hanging in there.
Yeah. So I guess few years later, when you look back and think of the moments you're like, guys, I can't do this anymore. And now you're like, wow, look at where I am now. Look at where I was back then saying these things to me. So I'm happy I stuck onto it. I'm happy that I saw it through.
Absolutely. And this morning's meeting, Shruti, we were just presenting to them what we are. And then, it came forward. I mean, that, wow, this is great.
And so
When you see it in somebody else's eyes, you don't sort of measure it probably, but when you show somebody this is what we've done in a year, then it also gives you a happy moment.
yeah, it is a happy moment. So what is that? What are some skills which are non-negotiable for founders in this industry, according to you?
I think the understanding of market,
That's definitely.
yeah, the understanding of consumers, building a niche. This market is very cluttered.
No, yeah.
Extremely cluttered. All price points, every sort of product, every sort of quality. And in today's times when a large channel is your digital channel, it is also difficult to differentiate from a consumer point of view. So, non negotiable is you identify your niche, make sure you're not a part of the clutter.
Yeah.
Make sure that whatever it is, you maintain the quality and you get that customer's trust.
Mm.
That everything you do, think of that customer, that will he or she approve or not. Once you do that, then how you see things becomes very different.
True. So you're not looking at it from like, I'm the CEO. It's more like if I was a consumer.
Yes,
Who is the consumer? What would they want from me?
absolutely. And that's where I think the Western wear got launched the first, right?
Yeah,
Because, I can experience it myself.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's do like a new snippet, maybe just a little bit. So what are you wearing today? Just like describe what you're wearing today.
So this is a quad set, right? With a vest and a pant. It's very differentiated from what the other fashion houses generally offer or brands generally offer. It is a stripe. Because it is a stripe, it makes me look taller,
Leaner.
right? And because it's a quad like this with a vest, it is also a bit formal. So it can take me through my day and also the evening. And I just feel it makes you look leaner, taller. It is differentiated. And this is like washed
Hmm.
10 times. It's not, it's not that.
And the quality is maintained, that
Yeah,
the fabric I've held on.
yes. And I wear it quite a bit. So this is reversible. So, sometimes I just put on a black vest
Yeah.
reversing, and sometimes it's only the vest, sometimes it's only the pant with the black tee, or sometimes
So it's this
effortless.
effortless.
And like, yeah, so many versions of it. It's like one product, but like a 5 versions.
Yeah, exactly. We actually made a reel on this as well quite recently on Quad. So we kind of like put that up here if that's one.
Yeah. So we generally as a team test the product before, not just a lab test, but also a practical testing of it before we actually put it forward to customers. So yeah.
Oh, yeah. So thank you everyone for watching this episode. And we'll come back next week for more exciting topics on Science of India, or maybe the behind the scenes of how the brand runs, I guess. You could wait and see for that one. So yeah, thank you everyone.
And what is this was insightful.
Yeah, definitely. I found it insightful myself. So we'll see you in the next episode. See you.